This is Left, Right and Centre and I'm Maria Shakil. It's the third day since the devastating Air India plane crash in Ahmedabad that killed 275 people, including both passengers and those on the ground at the crash site. The question on everyone's mind is still the same. What led to the crash? What went wrong? Was it a technical snag or a human error? All these questions will be answered once the investigators retrieve data from that black box that was recovered on Friday. Meanwhile, the families of the victims are waiting for the DNA result so that they get the bodies of their loved ones and perform their last rites. So far, 9 bodies have been identified and handed over to their relatives. Meanwhile, Aviation Minister Mohan Naidu has reviewed the progress of the probe and has said that security and safety mechanisms are being enhanced in the wake of this crash. Let's listen in to what the Civil Aviation Minister said earlier today.
We are going to form another high-level committee before. And immediately we have constituted the committee also yesterday. The Home Secretary is going to be the chairman of the committee. Secretary Ministry of Civil Aviation, Additional Secretary from MHA, one representative from the state of Gujarat where the incident actually happened, representative from State Disaster Response Authority, Government of Gujarat, Police Commissioner Ahmedabad, DG Inspection and Safety from the Indian Air Force, DG BCAS, which is the Bureau of Civil Aviation Security, DG DGCA, Special Director from IB, and Director from the Directorate of Forensic Sciences Services. So like you see, the composition of the high-level committee involves people from various backgrounds, and we have put a time limit of 3 months for them to sit down, talk to various stakeholders, and involve and discuss with any other important expert that is necessary as per their investigation.
Captain Kishore Chinta, Chief Pilot of Sirius India Airlines Private Limited, is joining us live. Captain Chinta, the question of course is that when did the pilot and at what stage, critical stage, did he lose control over the aircraft, and did he actually have any time for the recovery? All those answers are now part of that black box which was recovered yesterday.
Good evening, ma'am. Absolutely. The key to every answer, every speculation, every theory which has been played out over the last 48 hours to 72 hours is in that flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder. Based on the videos which we've seen and eyewitness accounts, we can at best do a guess estimate that the pilots had about 10 to 12 seconds from the time the wheels left the ground before they gave a mayday call, and after that the aircraft started descending. So even that is just speculation based on a grainy CCTV video. So between those 10 to 12 seconds is what those pilots had to bring all their knowledge, all their training, all the situational awareness, everything, every input which the aircraft gave them to do what they could do best. You know, one of the major things which they did was maintain those wings level. I mean, otherwise the aircraft would have gone down even quicker, and probably more lives would have been lost on ground.
Okay. Let me
so we should laud the pilots for whatever reaction time which they had to whatever they did. The actual story will definitely play out from when the AIB brings out the actual data from the flight data recorder and
yes.
the cockpit
I can
voice
see
recorder.
Captain Manik also joining us. He is the founder of the Skyline Aviation Club. But before I go to Captain Manik, let me bring in Ankit Tyagi, who's joining us from Ahmedabad. Ankit, you were right there when the tail of AI-171, the crashed plane, was actually being moved. And has the entire debris been cleared so far, or do you think it's a huge task, perhaps will take weeks?
Well, Maria, I've spent almost 2 days continuously there since the time I arrived in Ahmedabad at the crash site. And just to give you a sense, we don't realize the magnitude of what an aircraft debris looks like, because this was a huge aircraft. And even at the crash site, from the tail that we have been showing, that unfortunately became the very picture of this entire accident. About 600 to 700 meters from that tail, there are 5 to 6 buildings, 4 buildings facing in front, 2 behind, apart from the mess and 1 more building adjoining to it. All that area is the part of the debris. So it is going to take time. Why the tail was only taken, down from the place where it was lodged in, because earlier, as we reported, unfortunately, there was 1 more body which was found today. In fact, my guess is that the clearing of the body or the remains of those who were on board and on ground, I think we will always be about 99%, because of the intense inferno and the heat that this plane, which was carrying hundreds of gallons of that aviation fuel, burned for many, many hours. So it is going to be a tedious task. Also remember that, yes, the vital clue is the flight data recorder, but every part of that aircraft, even if it is in burn condition, will have to be taken back for investigation, for experts to in fact weigh in. So all that has to be cleared section by section. It will take another 24 hours, if nothing less, for that entire debris to be cleared up from that, in that context, Maria. I was, in fact, earlier, like you said, at that location. Now I'm at the civil hospital, where the other side of the story plays out.
And that's the most heartbreaking side, Ankit, as families wait for closure. The closure will come only after the last rites are performed. And they want the DNA samples to be matched at the earliest. Ankit, just tell us what you're seeing around you. It's been almost more than 48 hours already.
I keep thinking every time we are live, or every time we are speaking about it, which adjective should I use to in fact bring out the situation of the families. And any adjective from the dictionary that I use will still not be enough to convey what they are going through. I just saw, in the last 1 hour that I've been standing here at the DNA sample collection room, 3 new families came. 3, all from very different strata. 1 which flew in from England, and went in. The other 2 are coming from very far away, from a village in Gujarat. The women, those who had come, possibly because it's right now, in some parts of Gujarat raining, came in a sweater while we were facing sweltering heat. Now imagine, for the first time, they might, even if they have left their village, the first thing that they do have to come here to give a DNA sample, which they have absolutely no understanding about. They don't know what this DNA thing is. They only want to see their loved ones. And the way the families break down, first, of course, to hear and bear the pain that your loved ones are gone. And then, of course, this long wait, 72 hours is, of course, expedited process, but it's very, very long. Every second is very long for those who have lost their loved ones. It's a very tedious process, Maria. One part of it is which plays here behind me at the Kotaki Bhavan, where the living members of the family come and give their DNA sample. The other part is played on the body and the remains which have been found. The same situation is with them as well. Sample is collected, and then, of course, they are matched. Anything over 96% accuracy is deemed fit to be declared body related to some family, and then that family is given those bodies. So far, 9 positive samples have, in fact, emerged. 1 body has been handed over. 2 others are expected to be handed over this evening itself. And the others, in fact, would be handed over tomorrow. Tomorrow, we are expecting I don't have the heart and to speak to these people. I was referring to them. They had just gone in, a short while back. and I do not have the heart to go and ask them what's happening, with them, because while it's difficult reporting grief, and it's difficult to see how everybody processes their own grief. But as we speak, the weight is something that people are hoping with every passing hour would bring them to that closure that you were talking about.
All right, Ankit, thank you for joining us. Captain Manik is joining us. Captain Manik, no initial findings of what caused this crash has been disclosed, but of course the investigators are looking at multiple possibilities. When you look at that visual, of course the visual evidence which has been there now across all platforms, those images and the video which show the first few seconds before the crash, and there was that CCTV camera which was also located on the far left of that runway, which has given some idea as well. What's your assessment of a possible reason?
The reason, what I see, there are a number of factors involved, it seems, and it's very, very early to say anything about unless we retrieve a black box, which consists of a DFDR and CVR. Fortunately, we are very fortunate that we got the DFDR and CVR black box, one of them, within 24 hours. It's going to take little time to retrieve data. The first of all is required to be cleaned, the protective layers to be removed, the connections to be connected properly, and then it will be processing, and it will take a couple of weeks, maybe months. And if we go in a very deeper way to investigate, it will take a year or so. So Aircraft Investigation Bureau, AIB, will take care of that. But till now, what we are just doing is speculation, what has happened so far. We have a number of stories and a number of experts are saying a number of things, but still we have to wait for the the data which we have to receive from the CVR and DFDR.
And, Captain Chinda, the Civil Aviation Ministry has said clearly that the pilots did issue the Mayday call. And that call was made to the traffic controllers, and that happened at 1:39 Indian Standard Time. And when officials tried to communicate, the pilots did not respond, which was very clear that the plane was losing height. And after reaching an altitude of roughly around 625 feet, and then it crashes in that hostel, the BJ Medical College Hospital, the college hostel. The question then is, the fuel contamination is being seen as one of the major reasons here.
Even fuel contamination is speculation as of now. We
Yes,
cannot
absolutely.
rule out the possibility.
All
Definitely,
these reasons are speculation.
absolutely. It's a possibility for sure.
Yes.
But we all have to understand that the aircraft rolled under full power. If there was fuel contamination, the aircraft is equipped with various fuel sensors, fuel filters, and a fuel system which would flag any form of contamination and give the pilots adequate. We don't know. It might be possible that they did get a fuel contamination or a fuel filter warning or whatever. We do not know what happened in that cockpit at that point of time. As with regards to no communication from them after the Mayday call, all pilots are ingrained with a standard process: aviate, navigate, communicate. That means you fly the aeroplane first, then you navigate the aeroplane, and then you communicate to outside agencies. They did their part on communicating after getting airborne, and they were focusing on using every possible skill and getting the aeroplane to fly as far as possible, as we can see from the videos.
Yes, and Captain Chinta, there are reports which suggest that this particular aircraft, the Dreamliner, which has been flying from Ahmedabad to London, in the past also one of the pilots has gone on record to say that he had communicated to the Air India authorities that there is a problem with this particular aircraft. Do you think that problem was overlooked?
This is a way too advanced aircraft to hide any form of fault history on the aeroplane. if there was a fault, even if the pilot did not report it, the fault history would be downloaded through the ACAR system. The Air India engineering would have every single record of every warning which would have come, any parameter on the airplane which was not within the limits as set by the manufacturer and the set guidelines. Everything would be there. Nobody can hide anything. The fault history is there for everyone to see. If whatever has been said that faults were reported on this particular aeroplane, in all probability they would have been rectified before the aircraft was released to service and fly again. So the airworthiness part of it just cannot be whisked away. I hear a lot in the media. There has been a lot of hype. The air conditioning was not working. The IFP was not working, and various other parts. We have to understand that as an aeroplane, there is something called a minimum equipment list to declare the aircraft airworthy. When all those equipments are functional, if even one of them is not functional or some caution light or a parameter, there are laid down procedures both for the maintenance as well as the operations. So everything is laid down and approved by the regulator DGCA, and the operators' manuals would have all these parameters. So it's just sensationalism and speculation as of now, saying
so
that
Captain Manik, this is for the first time a Dreamliner has been involved in a fatal accident, but doesn't really mean that this particular model has not faced questions in the past. So the Dreamliner, as reports are suggesting, could be grounded, particularly because there is a need for further checks and balance to be put in place. That's what the indication is. Do you think the regulatory authorities have to really ensure that if there is any kind of report against an aircraft, then it should be immediately grounded? There cannot be any chance whatsoever.
Yes, I agree with that. But so far, the history and what we have seen so far, the record shows the aircraft is perfect, and the manufacturer, Boeing company, has done very good to create a very good safe plane. All planes are safe. Aeroplanes are made to fly and to fly safely. The regulatory authority, like FAA in US, or we have in our own country, DGCA, is taking care of all those safety measures. But still, if there is something which is to be coming out, which is doubtful, is required to be taken care of that. I agree with that. But still, there is speculation, and we are still waiting for the data to be retrieved from CVR and DFDR. And Captain Kishore, he said rightly, all aeroplanes are made to fly safely, and it's going on well. So sometimes certain things happens, which is beyond the control, and such accidents are not occurring because of one reason. There are a number of series of reasons which are involved. As per the studies, what so far says, at least there are minimum 6 factors, which are responsible for those kind of major disaster accidents. And this is what we are unfortunate in India to have this kind of thing happen in our own country, in Ahmedabad, which was a repetition of similar accident which happened on 13th October 1988. Where 133 passengers died, and I lost one of my friend, Archana Solanki. So this is, I've been observing since last 40 years. So we have to be a little more careful from the whatever happened in our country, and we have to study and improve the future of the civil aviation in India.
All right, Group Captain Vinod is also joining us. Group Captain Vinod, we are looking at more than 72 hours since the crash. Of course, the black box has been retrieved, but its data has to be studied, and that will take a long time. The preliminary investigation is still not clear because, again, it's a subject of multiple layers of investigation which is currently happening. As someone who is viewing this, this entire crash story from a distance, what are your thoughts, sir?
In fact, my heart goes out to people who perished on the ground and in the aircraft, and my candle is up for them who left us and went to heavenly abode. Having said that, I was listening to the information provided by both the panelists, and I'm completely with both of them and their thought process. Just a couple of points I wanted to add is that, I mean, all of us are pilots here, and you can ask any pilot. The first thing, in every pilot itching to do is to put the gear up. I have not come across a single pilot, who's not itching to put the gear up. And so much so, there have been cases, at least in the fighter aeroplane that I know of, where people have put the gear up a shade too early, and aeroplane grazed the ground. So gear is the first thing that goes up, and in this case, we didn't see the gear go up. So my money is seriously on issues which does not involve the pilot, contrary to what is being made about by many experts with tie and lanyard sitting out there and making some judgment. That is something which is just not going down my throat at all. So it's it's not. I'm just sticking not sticking my neck out for my brethren. I'm just sticking out my neck out for the entire pilot community who's always wanting to put the gear up, because the moment you put the gear up, the aeroplane goes up, accelerates like a rocket, they say. So that is what every pilot wants. And umpteen thousands and thousands of pilots are there who will bear with what I am trying to say. So, just because you are dressed up professionally, not necessarily you talk professionally. So that is something which it's not going down my this thing at all. I mean, we can see it on the video. So what is the next thing? Next thing, logically, I'm not privy to the DFDR. Logically, it should be some electrical malfunction. And in 2013, when this aeroplane rolled out, if you remember, it had electrical malfunction history. Another very, 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 very important point which I want to tell you is, suppose up to 500 feet, I do not want the flap to go up because up to X feet, let's call it 500 feet. Okay. I don't want the flap to go up. As a designer, I am supposed to, make that flap lever inoperational, and it is just one line code. If radio altimeter is less than 500 feet, make flap lever inoperative. Because these are not, unlike yesteryear's aeroplane, these are not cable operated. They are simple switches. And these are fly-by-wire machines which listens to the computer. So I would again go back to, if I were Boeing, I would go back to the drawing board. I will rewrite the code. I will give you an example. In the same aeroplane, above a speed of, say, I'm just giving an hypothetical number, above a speed of 250 knots, if you put the undercarriage wheels down, it won't come down. Why? Because the software code is there, which precludes anyone. By mistake, if he puts the gear down above the certain speed, the gear won't come down. Why? Because the gear can fly away. Okay. In the same aeroplane, also, there is something called ARS, Automatic Retraction System. If the flaps stay out beyond a certain speed, the flaps will automatically retract, because you don't want the flap to fly away. So these are also software code. So these are the questions that I ask. I will go back to the drawing board and say, above a certain altitude, I don't want the flap to go up. Electrical malfunction or whatever, the flap needs to stay down. It needs to stay locked down. So that is where we need to put our finger, money and mouth. Over to you. All right.
Captain Vinod, thank you for joining us. Captain Manik and Captain Chinta for sharing their thoughts and their views on possible scenarios as to what caused that air crash.